The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 39. Jing Wang memorized the carp Yao's name, thinking the surname Li and given name Yu was very fitting. Calling him Xiao Yu regularly before wasn't even wrong. However, the Yao in the stories were at least a few hundred if not thousands of years old. A Yao that's only 18, this age was old enough for a human, but to a Yao, it was much too young. However, it's not impossible that the age that the carp Yao told him was fake. But this didn't hinder Jing Wang's assumptions. He had long felt that this carp Yao didn't have a very high cultivation. After all, this Yao can only maintain human shape for 2 hours. As for why he came here, the carp Yao seemed to want to keep it a secret. Jing Wang wasn't in a hurry to learn about this as he didn't want to scare Xiao Yu away. Jing Wang continued to write, "Why save me? Li Yu." From the beginning, Li Yu never considered helping Jing Wang clean his eyes as anything important. To him, it was only doing what he could. Thinking back and forth, he thought Jing Wang was asking about the matter concerning Xuěshān and the Chang'an Palace. Li Yu stated as briefly as possible, "I coincidentally learned about the second prince's scheme and thought I should inform Xuěshān to raise his vigilance. But I only wrote the letter. Everything else that followed depended completely on the strategy you and Xuěshān concocted. So it really doesn't count as me saving you." Jing Wang was briefly stunned by the seemingly evasive answer. After he recovered, he didn't actually correct anything. Xiao Yu didn't even take the credit for such a big contribution such as saving Xuěshān. Helping him clean his eyes probably was even more insignificant to the fish. In his heart, Jing Wang felt more and more satisfied towards this fish. Jing Wang then wrote, "Where do you live right now?" Li Yu thought, wasn't he still living at Jing Estate right now, interacting with Jing Wang from sunrise to sunset? But saying this would definitely make Jing Wang suspicious. Therefore, Li Yu created a lie and said, I have no permanent residence and drift around all over Jing Wang." Jing Wang really wanted to expose this fish, but at this moment, outside of this waiting room, there were the emperor, the imperial concubines, and such people. This is not the right moment to reveal the truth. Not only could he not expose the truth, he needed to do everything he could to protect the secret. It's best to immediately settle the human form of this lying little fish into the Jing estate as well and brand Xiao Yu with his mark. To directly appear inside the imperial palace like this was too conspicuous, and also too dangerous. "Since you have no place to stay, come to the Jing estate," Jing Wang wrote non-stop. Li Yu couldn't believe it. Was Jing Wang willing to provide him, someone of unknown origins, a place to stay? Are you offering me shelter?" Li Yu wanted to confirm again. "But why? We've only met a few times." Jing Wang wrote with a serious expression, "You saved me, saved Chang'an Palace. I trust you." Li Yu. So the identity issue that had troubled him for such a long time was resolved just this easily? "But if I enter the Jing estate, I'm very busy. I'm afraid I might not have much time to help you do anything." Li Yu had a difficult expression on his face. If he could make his identity be under the Jing estate's name, that would naturally be great. In the future, he would be able to walk around the prince's estate. But if this happened, he actually needed to help Jing Wang do things instead of just freeloading inside the estate. With his condition of being able to turn into a human for 2 hours per day, the most he could do was sweep a courtyard. The Jing estate shouldn't be lacking people to do such chores, right? No one was more aware of this fish's daily activities than Jing Wang. Eating and playing every day. Occasionally accompanying him while he read or drew. Most of the time the fish spent blowing bubbles and swimming around. Other than that, it covered itself with the grass leaf blanket and slept soundly. Lately, the carp demon didn't even bother with absorbing essence. Who knew which one is truer, it was being lazy or pretending to be busy. Jingwang has quite the complaints. No matter what, making the fish sweep a courtyard was not possible. Jingwang wrote, "No need to worry about that too much. You only need to do one thing well to stay in Jing estate." "What is it?" Liu asked in anticipation. "Jingwang, I have a fish. When I'm not there, help me take care of it." Liu. Jingwang seemed to be afraid that he wouldn't understand, so he pointed in the direction of the crystal bottle. When the two of them sat down, Liu deliberately used his body to block the view of the crystal bottle in order for Jingwang not to notice that the fish that was supposed to be in the bottle was missing. It seemed that he was successful in his endeavor, as Jingwang indeed didn't notice. Otherwise, he wouldn't have pointed the bottle for him. So, Jingwang wanted him to help raise fish? Liu hastily nodded in agreement. He definitely needed to accept this good offer. He didn't understand anything else, but he was sure he was pretty adept at taking care of himself. Liu said in delight, "All right, I can do this. I can help your highness take care of fish." The two people were just conversing when a knock abruptly sounded from outside of the waiting room. Jingwang gave Liu a sideways glance. Liu swiftly covered his mouth. "Wang Shi said from outside, 'Your Highness, His Majesty the Emperor is asking about you.'" Jingwang used the excuse of changing clothes to come to the waiting room at the side hall, but it's not like he could stay here for the whole 2 hours. Jingwang gave Liu another look and then wrote, "You may watch fish for me right now. The waiting room will be guarded. Rest assured." Jingwang gently patted Liu on the shoulder. "Your Highness." A warm current surged in Liu's heart in that split second. He sniffled, feeling touched. Jingwang just solved all of the issues worrying Liu the most for him. Not only that, he even told Liu to be rest assured. Because there were Jingwang's words, Liu believed them wholeheartedly. It's no wonder that he'd be so happy to learn that Jingwang was willing to provide him shelter. After all, staying by his tyrant master's side made him feel the safest. Jingwang walked out of the waiting room by himself and ordered Wang Shi to guard it in his stead, not permitting anyone to enter. Although Wang Shi didn't understand, he still followed the instructions. The emperor ordered the imperial physician to examine the injury on Concubine Chu's arm again, but the physician didn't find anything new. The emperor himself was also feeling that perhaps he was overthinking this and was wrongfully accusing Concubine Chu. His expression towards Concubine Chu became somewhat better. With all of the concubines present, it was impossible for Concubine Chu to remain lying in bed this entire time. Not long afterwards, she accompanied the emperor and came out to greet the other concubines. Seeing how despite her illness, Concubine Chu had exquisite makeup and was wearing a flimsy, little short robe, Concubine Jian silently cursed this foxy seductress in her heart. However, Concubine Jian ultimately couldn't insult her right in front of the emperor's face. Since the emperor didn't punish Concubine Chu again, Concubine Jian had to follow the emperor's will. Momentarily holding back her suspicions towards Concubine Chu, she even affectionately called Chujaja. When Concubine Chu was still the imperial consort, Concubine Chu really looked down on Concubine Jian, who couldn't compete against her in terms of good looks. Yet now she actually pandered to Concubine Jian's cheerful conversation, acting as if the two people had a really good relationship or something. Jingwang was originally wearing a black-colored robe. Now, he changed into a sapphire blue robe with silver linings when he came out. For once, the emperor did not see the crystal bottle he carried around constantly and teased him, "After getting wet a few times, you've now only learned to put it down." Wang Shi was in charge of guarding the waiting room, so he didn't accompany Jingwang. Jingwang thought that explaining himself and also letting the emperor understand his thoughts was somewhat troublesome. So he simply remained silent and let the emperor misunderstand. Concubine Chu and Concubine Jian chatted idly. Jingwang glanced at Concubine Chu from afar. Although he secretly sent people to give the information to the third prince, it looks like the third prince didn't really make much progress. With scheming thoughts, Concubine Jian attempted to touch Concubine Chu's arm several times. However, Concubine Chu was very vigilant and always had loyal servants protecting her side. They promptly nudged away Concubine Jian each time. Unable to get close, Concubine Jian felt somewhat anxious about completing the task that her son gave her. At the same time, she couldn't raise Concubine Chu's suspicions. The third prince was also in a difficult situation. Although he received the information, he was still skeptical. His people went to find that servant, Huan Hua, inside the imperial gardens. But he really couldn't rashly suggest examining Concubine Chu's injury again unless more aspects of the situation came to light. By all appearances, Concubine Chu was one of his stepmothers after all. The sixth prince thought the same as him and continued to hint that he should wait for news. Therefore, the third prince could only make roundabout inquiries about Concubine Chu's injury. After a while, even the emperor became somewhat annoyed and stared coldly at the third prince. Mu Tianming became afraid of being too obvious and displeasing the emperor, so after a while, he naturally quieted down. Concubine Chu assumed that her scheme had prevailed by now and knelt down to beg, "Your Majesty, Zhao has really learned from his mistake. Now that I've been injured, he is very concerned about my well-being. Since he left the imperial palace, I haven't seen him at all. Can I plead leniency from you to allow Zhao into the palace to accompany me? I will be forever grateful." For Mu Tianzhao to scheme against the Chang'an palace, Concubine Chu also knew he caused a major issue. She didn't dare to ask the emperor for a direct pardon but instead begged him to lift the Marquis of An's confinement first. As long as he could enter the imperial palace, they could gently resolve the rest later. Although the second prince had been given the title of Marquis by the emperor in haste, according to Concubine Chu's understanding of the emperor, as long as the emperor's heart softened once, in the future, she could slowly coax him little by little. Who knows, maybe she could even make the emperor change his mind and give the Marquis of An the title of Wang. Even the mute fifth prince can get the title of Wang. How could Concubine Chu accept this? Her Zhao was the oldest of all the princes. Concubine Chu was actually pretty good at perceiving the emperor's mood. However, since the emperor already saw the Marquis of An's memorial and for Concubine Chu to come begging for the same thing, the emperor's heart turned cold once more. Concubine Chu was indeed injured by the fire, but was this some kind of meritorious achievement? Were they deserving to request for his favor? Thus the emperor said coolly, "Recuperate from your injury first. Don't bring up anything else." The emperor didn't actually relent. Concubine Chu was stunned. Even though her stomach was filled with words, she dared not speak any of them again. The emperor didn't want to talk about the Marquis of An and purposely changed the topic. "Oh right, Jingwang's fish. You've seen it before, right?" Fish. When she heard this word, all of Concubine Chu's humiliating memories gushed forth like a flood. She could forget everyone, but she would never forget this shadow in her heart. The terrifying memory of getting hit in the face by a fish almost made her bite her lip and had goosebumps all over her skin. She asked in a panic, "Why would your Majesty suddenly mention this fish?" The emperor said, "That fish is no ordinary fish. Now it grew gold scales. I feel like this is a rather good omen. You should have a look as well." For Zongqi Palace to be burned was really unlucky. The emperor viewed Jingwang's fish as an auspicious sign and remembered that Concubine Chu seemed to dislike this fish. Naturally, he hoped Concubine Chu would stop being obstinate and use this opportunity to reconcile with Jingwang rather than get dragged with the Marquis of An. Also, it might wash away the unlucky aura around Concubine Chu. Concubine Chu, ah. Concubine Chu couldn't follow the emperor's train of thought, but the emperor had already turned towards Jingwang with a smile and ordered Jingwang to bring the little carp over. Jingwang's heart tightened. 2 hours have not passed and he didn't know if Xiaoyu had changed back yet. There was no way Jingwang could bring Xiaoyu out of the waiting room right now. Therefore, he thought of a plan to stall for time. Because Wang Shi wasn't by his side, Jingwang asked Luo Ruisheng for a brush and ink. He lifted the brush and wrote slowly. All of this wasted some more time. The emperor saw Jingwang's bold, magnificent calligraphy and felt pretty happy. What Jingwang wrote was approximately saying, just now when he was changing clothes inside the waiting room at the side hall, he fed the fish at the same time. The fish ate too much and was taking a short nap right now. The emperor briefly felt awkward. He knew that Jingwang loved this fish. Also the fish now grew gold scales. The emperor thought that this kind of auspicious sign meant the fish was not the same as a regular fish, so it required a special kind of tolerance. Thus, the emperor said with a smile, since it's like this, then as punishment, Jingwang must play a few games with me while we wait tentatively. Jingwang nodded and agreed. Luo Ruisheng immediately ran off to get the Go board. When the emperor played Go with other people, he pretty much never lost. While facing Jingwang, however, he lost twice in a row. Nevertheless, in each of these rounds, Jingwang only won by a hair. The emperor smiled and cursed internally, what a stinky brat. Nevertheless, despite losing, the emperor was still unperturbed. During the matches, the third prince came over to look at the game, wanting to join in the scene. Unfortunately, the third prince's Go skills were the worst amongst all of the princes. He couldn't even understand what he was looking at. Occasionally, he would open his mouth, but it only made the emperor felt that he was being an eyesore, so he ordered Mu Tianming to move aside. Mu Tianming looked at Jingwang again, his eyes were full of envy and resentment. In the past, he wanted to win Jingwang over to his side, but now he was a little wary. The sixth prince reached out and pulled at him with a smile as he said, "Third elder brother, observers shouldn't talk. I also don't really understand Go. You should come wait with me to the side." Because the sixth prince came to help the third prince out of an awkward situation in a tactful fashion, the emperor unexpectedly gave this overlooked son of his an extra glance. Jingwang calculated the time. When it was about time, he finally got up and headed to the waiting room to fetch the fish. Wang Shi had been dutifully guarding in front of the waiting room. Jingwang said to not allow anyone inside, so he didn't allow anyone inside. Even the servants who wanted to enter the waiting room to place tea were blocked. The conversation with the emperor of those outside was filled with trepidation, as if walking on thin ice, while inside the waiting room, Li Yu was extremely relaxed without any worries or care. When Jingwang left, he left behind the jade box that was used to feed fish. There was fish food and all kinds of desserts and snacks inside, everything that the fish liked. Li Yu ended up holding the jade box, eating as he waited for the time to pass. With Jingwang outside, he felt extremely calm. The time seemed to pass quickly again. When the system started the countdown, he covered up the jade box well and obediently went to wait next to the fish bowl. Li Yu just jumped back into the crystal bottle when Jingwang returned. "Aya! Master!" Fish obediently fed himself. Li Yu wagged his tail enthusiastically. The little carp was originally somewhat worried that with the disappearance of his human form, Jingwang would go searching again. However, Jingwang didn't. He walked over directly to the table and carried away the fish inside the crystal bottle. "Your Highness, the person inside the waiting room just now," Wang Shi wanted to ask about the whereabouts of the male concubine who always abruptly appeared out of nowhere and then abruptly disappeared into thin air. Jingwang gave him a sideways glance, "Already left." "Wang Shi?" Wang Gonggong didn't get it at all. The little carp who was being carried by Jingwang, however, felt his heart relax again. Looks like Jingwang was already used to his abrupt disappearances. Li Yu was brought in front of the emperor by Jingwang. The little carp was also very surprised to see Concubine Chu. Why was the imperial consort still here? Did no one expose her yet? Or was the scene not the same as the one he was aware of? The emperor ordered Jingwang to bring the fish closer. At the same time, he also ordered Concubine Chu to walk closer. Concubine Chu was stiff all over, staring in trepidation at the fish inside the crystal bottle. Her eyeballs were almost popping out of their sockets. Although there were gold scales growing on the fish's stomach and tail, she was certain that this was the fish that smacked her on the face before. Even if this abominable fish turned into dust, she would still recognize it. Because the emperor wanted her to see this fish, even if Concubine Chu was utterly unwilling, she couldn't go against the emperor's wishes. Especially since she could feel the regards that the emperor had for this fish from his words and actions. Concubine Chu forced herself to walk closer, lips trembling as she smiled with difficulty. She wanted to say a few words of praise, but since she secretly cursed this fish 1,000 times in her mind, she just couldn't do it. Liu trembled in fear because of Concubine Chu's stiff smile. Then, fish smelled the scent of cypress. Huh. So the imperial consort was using the same scheme as in the original novel. Then why hasn't the 6th prince and 3rd prince done anything, yet? Liu secretly glanced at the 3rd prince. This idiot had an extremely bitter expression, like he practically wished to jump over here in front of the fish. Liu immediately understood. Was the 3rd prince this useless and was unable to find a good opportunity to divulge everything out? This didn't look good. Liu thought. Looks like he and the imperial consort were really brought together by fate. Now it's his turn to shake things up. Always flipping onto his belly was no fun. Liu smiled mischievously. Looks like he'll have try something different this time. Concubine Chu looked at the fish without blinking at all. Suddenly, she had a strange premonition. Was this fish about to cause trouble again? The fish waved its tail at her unceasingly. The black-colored tail that carried a thread of gold was attractive and pretty. As she looked at it, Concubine Chu became somewhat entranced. Suddenly, this fish shook all over. With a bloop, it blew out a long series of bubbles, paused, and then it shook again, blowing out a second long series of bubbles. Concubine Chu. When the fish blew the first series of bubbles, the emperor and Jingwang were nearby. They both noticed it. The emperor asked in surprise, "Tianqi, what's wrong with the fish?" Jingwang knew this carp had come up with some devious plan again. How could he not help the fish with the follow-up? He purposely feigned an annoyed face and looked at the ever-present Wang Shi. Wang Gonggong immediately spoke what Jingwang wanted to say, answering, "Your Majesty, this fish has a habit. Every time it smelled something pungent, it will start to feel uncomfortable. It's sneezing right now." Liu. Fine, Wang Gonggong. It's fine. This time fish won't get angry at you for calling it sneezing. End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 40. Your Majesty, is Wang Gonggong saying that perhaps there's some kind of strange smell on me that irritated the fish? Concubine Chu couldn't stop her face from turning black. Was this fish insulting her and saying that she smelled? Impossible. This fish was clearly deliberately causing trouble for her. The 3rd prince, Mu Tianming, who has been waiting for this opportunity for quite a while, exchanged gazes with Concubine Jian. Concubine Jian took this chance to say, "There's no need to get angry, Chujaja. It's just that this fish was fine with His Highness, Jingwang. Why would it start feeling unwell as soon as it saw you?" Concubine Jian wasn't like Wang Shi. She couldn't shamelessly say that a fish can sneeze. Also, Concubine Jian didn't smell anything herself, so she chose some more tactful words. Perhaps it really smelled a strange scent. Chujaja just received an injury. Why not let the imperial physician come over and examine it again? What if the condition of the wound has changed? It's better to be cautious. Concubine Chu. Concubine Chu realized Concubine Jian was up to no good. She was just about to refuse, however the emperor felt that Concubine Jian's words were full of concern. After thinking briefly, he said, "Concubine Jian's words sound reasonable. Let the imperial physician come examine it again." The imperial physician from before was summoned again. Mu Tianming reminded specifically, "Take special care to examine carefully if Concubine Jian's injury has changed or if there's some kind of strange smell." The imperial physician acknowledged it, examining even more meticulously than the previous times. Concubine Chu couldn't help but feel anxious secretly. However, she didn't even know herself what kind of problem this injury could have. When the imperial physician finished their examination before, they just said that Concubine Chu just needed to recuperate quietly. However, this time, the physician knelt down on the floor and asked for forgiveness. They reported to the emperor that Concubine Jian's injury was fine, but there was the smell of cypress wood where the injury was. Before, the imperial physician only examined the wound itself and never noticed this detail. Scent of cypress wood. For a moment, the emperor didn't get it. However, this at least proved that Jing Wang's fish really did smell something different. The emperor's good impression of Jing Wang's fish rose some more. The usually gentle and cordial sixth prince, Mu Tianxiao, pondered for a moment and blurted out an epiphany, "Imperial father, if I remember correctly, Concubine Chu's Zongqi Palace didn't grow any cypress trees. So, how could the injury on Concubine Chu's arm?" Like someone waking up abruptly from a dream, the emperor turned towards Concubine Chu and said in a severe tone, "Concubine Chu, were you lying to me? Tell me, how did you exactly get this injury?" Concubine Chu's legs started trembling as soon as the imperial physician mentioned cypress wood. When the emperor glared at her, Concubine Chu's mind went completely blank. With a shudder, she immediately dropped to her knees. How was she supposed to explain why there was the scent of cypress wood on her injury, cypress wood that wasn't present at all in Zongqi Palace? A servant hastily entered the hall and whispered some quiet words to Mu Tianming. The third prince's eyes lit up. He immediately got up and said, "Imperial father, regarding the fire inside Zongqi Palace, this prince has received an update about it." This prince heard that the servant Huan Hua from Zongqi Palace disappeared. This prince's guards have just reported that they discovered a female corpse inside the imperial garden. After investigations, they determined that it was Huan Hua. What? The little carp was already bored of this palace intrigue and thought it was no longer interesting. Instead, he had been secretly playing games with Jing Wang's fingers and was having quite the fun. When he heard these words, he was completely stupefied. This small character called Huan Hua didn't actually die in the original novel. So why was she dead now? Was the reason why the third prince made no progress at first and needed Liu to intervene was because the third prince's words didn't actually clarify if Huan Hua died because of suicide or if she was murdered. If it was the former, it might have been because the small planned fire inside Zongqi Palace became a big fire. Huan Hua might have feared that she wouldn't be able to deal with the aftermath, so she ended her own life. If it was the latter, then who killed Huan Hua? Liu couldn't figure it out just based on the Mu Tianming's words. Nevertheless, the most suspicious person was Concubine Chu. After learning this news, Concubine Chu also immediately revealed a surprised expression. Mu Tianming secretly hid his delight and stated clearly, "This prince heard that Huan Hua was Concubine Chu's personal maid. Fortunately, before she died, she left a note and pointed out the person who murdered her." Concubine Chu felt the situation was turning for the worst. The emperor's face immediately fell as he said, "Present it to me." After this, an examination was conducted. The third prince's guard verified that Huan Hua was killed by someone else. Before she died, she wrote a testimony that pointed at none other than her master as her murderer, Concubine Chu. Huan Hua also mentioned in the testimony that Concubine Chu was the one who ordered her to start the fire in the first place, and because Concubine Chu feared that she would expose the secret, she had Huan Hua killed. For the victim of a murder to be able to leave behind such a testimony, this matter most likely wasn't as simple. Liu instinctively felt that something seemed wrong here. However, Concubine Chu's actions that were written in Huanhua's testimony were all true. The emperor immediately ordered people to check out if the words written in the testimony were correct and head out towards Ta-Sien Terrace to look for evidence. They quickly found the cypress branch, the handkerchief, and other unfavorable evidences against Concubine Chu. They even found eyewitnesses that declared they had seen Concubine Chu in Xuěshān Terrace earlier. No matter how Huanhua died, the fact that Concubine Chu ordered her to start the fire was true. The fact that Concubine Chu burned herself to trick the emperor was also true. She might even need to take responsibility for the murder of her personal maid. With these crimes, even if the emperor had once felt a tiny bit of pity towards Concubine Chu, that feeling have completely dissipated now. Before, the emperor thought that Concubine Chu's arrogance, willfulness, and failure to educate the second prince properly was mainly because he had disclosed his intent to pick the second prince as the crown prince, that due to this Concubine Chu and Mu Tianzhao became bold and ambitious. He had never expected that Concubine Chu had such a vicious heart. Concubine Chu sank to her knees on the ground. In the face of such conclusive evidences, she didn't even have the chance to try to defend herself. The emperor immediately demoted her into a commoner in front of all of the other concubines and vanished her to the cold palace. Then he ordered Luo Ruisheng to head to the Marquis of An's estate and reprimand him severely. With this, it would be impossible for Concubine Chu and the Marquis of An to make any waves now. Mu Tianming gave Mu Tianxiao a pleased look. This was what exactly he wanted. To ensure that this mother and son pair would never be able to get up again. Only like this can his position be stabilized. The third prince flaunted and the sixth prince gave an obedient faint smile in return. Jingwang couldn't really tolerate Chu Shi's wailing and crying. He gave his farewell to the emperor. The emperor still felt some interest towards the little carp. However, now was clearly not the time to study this auspicious sign. The emperor ordered Jingwang to come to the imperial palace another day for a discussion. When Jingwang left, Mu Tianxiao stared at Jingwang thoughtfully. Jingwang also noticed that he was staring. He also noticed the Mu Tianxiao's hand was hanging by his side. He had been keeping his hands within his sleeves and had never taken it out. Jingwang calmly raised his eyebrows. Mu Tianxiao smiled and both of his hands came out of his sleeves. He raised them to give a salute to Jingwang as he said warmly, "Fifth Imperial brother, take care." When Jingwang saw that there was nothing of note in his hand, he also nodded politely at him. Liu stayed inside the crystal bottle and was carried along by Jingwang for a while. Jingwang had brought him into the imperial palace a few times before already. He can more or less recognize the way. He could tell that after leaving the imperial palace, they didn't actually head towards the direction of the Jing estate. Jingwang's unwavering side profile was like the surface of a blade. Following behind him were over a dozen black-clothed guards. To the side, Wang Shi had the corner of his mouth downturned, expression solemn. What were they going to do? The little carp was perplexed. Recalling this section in the original novel where Concubine Chu got face slapped, it was mainly a confrontation between the factions of the third prince and the second prince. Jingwang wasn't actually present. In the original novel, the fire only damaged a room inside the palace. The intensity of the fire wasn't large at all. Huanhua also didn't die. Concubine Qi was demoted but wasn't vanished to the cold palace, so she was still able to struggle at death's door for a little while longer. But now what happened was that not only was Jingwang present, it was even him who passed on the information to the third prince which Mu Tianming used to get rid of Concubine Chu. Concubine Qi's ending was much more tragic than what happened in the novel. On the surface of this battle, the combined forces of the third prince and sixth prince were victorious, but in actuality, Jingwang was the overall winner. As if he was jolted, Liu suddenly recalled Huanhua's death. Huanhua didn't kill herself, so who exactly killed her? The little carp secretly glanced at Jingwang. Why would Jingwang have a heavy killing aura surrounding him again? Was Huanhua secretly killed by Jingwang? Very quickly, he found his answer. The night was already dark. Jingwang carried the crystal bottle and made several turns. Finally, he stopped in front of a residence and waved his hand briefly. Behind him, the black-clothed guards all faded into the darkness of the night. Jingwang also found a secret place to conceal himself, quietly looking at this residence from afar. There was clamor inside this residence. The sound of scolding and reprimands floated over from time to time, as if there were people arguing non-stop inside. After a while, a person came out surrounded by an entourage, walking past furiously. Liu recognized this person. This was head steward Luo Ruisheng. Luo Gonggong couldn't hide his face, which was full of indignance and anger even if he wanted to. To the side, an attendant hastily coaxed him, saying, "To dare to talk back when someone so favored by the emperor like Luo Gonggong graced his presence here on imperial orders, Marquis of An is really such a fool. Looks like he definitely won't be able to climb back up again." Luo Ruisheng was really furious, but for his attendant to say such things so bluntly, Luo Gonggong still felt it wasn't quite appropriate. There's no need to speak like that about the Marquis of An. He's still a prince. The attendant beside him didn't care, however. Gonggong, you've seen all sorts of things in this world. So what if he's a fallen phoenix? Without the emperor's favor, he doesn't even compare to a chicken. That was indeed the case. Luo Ruisheng scoffed in contempt and didn't say anything else. Liu finally realized from their conversation that this was the Marquis of An's courtyard. Just now the emperor ordered head steward Luo to come here and reprimand him. That's why head steward Luo was present here. Luo Gonggong and his entourage quickly walked far. Jingwang waited until those people left before ordering the black-clothed guards to surround the residence. Wrapping the chain of the crystal bottle around his hand several times again and holding it firmly, Jingwang took in a breath and jumped, leaping onto the roof. Liu, who was taken into the sky without any warning at all. Liu steadied himself and took a glance. It was pitch black all over. The tyrant master unexpectedly carried his pet fish and ended up crouching on the roof of Marquis of An's house. Liu didn't know what Jingwang planned to do. It's not like he could get out of the crystal bottle anyways. Therefore, he just curiously went along with Jingwang. He saw Jingwang holding the crystal bottle very firmly with one hand while quietly uncovering a tile on the roof. The faint yellow candle light from the room below instantly leaked out. Liu. The little carp immediately moved his fish head closer. Was Jingwang peeping at the Marquis of An's despondent appearance? He also wanted to see. Not knowing if it was deliberate, Jingwang moved slightly to the side. The little carp that was moving about randomly inside the crystal bottle stopped and was able to perfectly see clearly the scene inside the room below. The Marquis of An had been imprisoned inside his residence for many days. The floor of this room was full of broken pieces of porcelain and pottery. There were barely any decorative items in good condition. Mu Tianzhao was slumped on a red sandalwood chair, covering his head with his hands dejectedly. Ever since he's been sentenced with confinement, he hasn't been able to see the emperor at all. Now he received the news that Concubine Chu had been vanished to the cold palace. The emperor even specifically sent Luo Ruisheng over to reprimand him. Mu Tianzhao was born a royal prince. He had never suffered such humiliation before. Unable to hold back his anger, he actually ended up arguing with Luo Gonggong. Regretting it now was completely too late. He spent his recent days extremely ill at ease, often hitting and yelling at the people beside him. His wife, son, and daughters didn't dare to approach him. Only one or two brave servants gathered the courage to come take care of him. An elder servant carried over a bowl of soup and quietly attempted to coax Mu Tianzhao. Mu Tianzhao waved his hand in annoyance and cursed loudly. The servant didn't dare to stay any longer and quietly retreated outside. Liu was just looking at the activity below. Seeing the normally fair clean-faced second prince currently with an unkempt face full of beard, the fish felt extremely satisfied. However, Jingwang didn't actually plan to just observe. Suddenly he moved, reaching his hand into his robes and pulling out an object. With a glance, Liu instantly became dumbfounded. This item was the fish pillow that he lost a while time ago. This fish pillow was the reward he received from his first mission. Made from a special material, it looked the same as the fish from before. Normal people could only discern it wasn't a real fish by touching it. He had completely forgotten when he had lost it. How come Jingwang have it? Thinking about how Jingwang silently collected his fish pillow and refused to return it, Jingwang pulled out a string that was as thin as a piece of hair and tied it on the fish pillow's tail. Then he looked towards the observing little carp and winked deliberately. Liu felt like Jingwang's expression carried a nefarious smile, like he was about to do something nasty. As Liu remained curious as to what the other was going to do, Jingwang already nimbly lowered the fish pillow into the room by the string. Liu's eye swiftly followed the view. He saw the fish pillow silently dip into the bowl of soup. Because it was connected to the thin string and Jingwang picked a good timing, the landing didn't make any noise. Mu Tianzhao, who was cursing and swearing, didn't notice anything at all. After he finished cursing the servant, Mu Tianzhao then cursed Luo Gonggong. After spitting a tirade of insults, he felt somewhat thirsty, so he picked up the bowl of soup from the table. Without looking, he took a sip of the soup. After drinking, he abruptly caught sight of the dirty gray fish floating in the bowl. The fish that had always brought him misfortune. Extremely frightened, Mu Tianzhao lost his grip and dropped the bowl to the floor. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Don't come find me. Mu Tianzhao frantically shook his head, staring wide-eyed at the fish that fell to the floor. The fish didn't move at all, as if it was dead. Mu Tianzhao still recoiled in terror. Recalling something, he desperately scratched at his throat, letting out high-pitched screams, "Someone, someone come quick! Help! Save me!" Mu Tianzhao didn't dare to look at the fish on the floor anymore. He also didn't dare to stay inside the room by himself. Staggering, he scrambled outside. Why would Mu Tianzhao react so drastically? Liu was somewhat puzzled. He knew that Mu Tianzhao hated him a lot. But there's no need to look so terrified upon seeing the fish pillow or to scramble frantically to escape, yelling on top of his lungs for help and all. That was way too dramatic. It's not like a fish can bite. Unless. A thought flashed in Liu's mind. Taking into consideration Mu Tianzhao's abnormal behavior, he remembered with his fish food was poisoned and how this poisoned food was almost consumed by Xiangfeng. Was that Mu Tianzhao's doing? It was probably why, upon seeing the fish pillow, the Marquis of An, who had a guilty conscience, thought the fish he had poisoned to death now returned as a ghost to demand for his life. Perhaps he even thought that the soup that he drank just now was also poisoned. The Marquis of An, who had been cut off from all news, didn't even know that this food ingredient carp was still alive, doing just fine and dandy. Liu suddenly understood the Marquis of An's thought process. He also understood why Jingwang insisted on bringing his pet fish while climbing the Marquis of An's roof and why he lowered the fish pillow down. Liu took a deep breath. If the Marquis of An really did try to harm fish, then Jingwang he was probably getting revenge for fish. The little carp glanced at the deranged Marquis of An, who was yelling and screaming loudly down below. Then he glanced at the calm and composed Jingwang by his side. He couldn't help but want to rub against his master a little. How could this person treat fish so well? He felt like Huanhua was definitely not killed by Jingwang. Because in order to deal with the second prince, Jingwang was even capable of doing things like this in a runabout way. There was really no reason for him to do things like getting rid of a palace servant who didn't need to die. While the Marquis of An was shouting all over for help, Jingwang quickly drew back the fish pillow and put it away properly. Then carrying the crystal bottle, he jumped down from the roof, landing softly. "Your Highness." Wang Shi rushed over. He was responsible for assisting Jing Wang from below. Now that the Marquis of An have completely lost his power and influence, it was time for him to repay what he owed the Jing estate. Jing Wang first gave the Marquis of An quite a scare. He still remembered the fear that Xiao Yu expressed when he killed the female assassin. Jing Wang learned from that experience. There was no need to let Xiao Yu see anything too vicious. He only allowed Xiao Yu to see the Marquis of An receiving a little scare to get a little payback. Next, Jing Wang gave Wang Shi a hand gesture apathetically. "When he leaves, make sure to do it cleanly." After Wang Shi received the order, Jing Wang carried the fish back to the estate first. Wang Shi waited until his master walked pretty far before ordering the guards who were hidden in ambush in the surrounding to start. The next day, the Marquis of An's estate was in uproar. The rumor was that after the Marquis of An had been reprimanded by the emperor, he was in a terrible mood and started to drink to vent his anger. After getting drunk, he randomly walked around and lost his footing, falling into a pond inside his residence. When he was found and pulled out by the servants, he was already breathing out more than he breathed in. The emperor was furious. The Marquis of An's behavior was practically equivalent to bluntly expressing his discontent towards the emperor. However, considering that the Marquis of An was still a prince, the emperor still sent the imperial physician over to treat him. The imperial physician was highly skilled and managed to save the Marquis of An's life, but after the Marquis of An regained consciousness, he was completely insane, saying, "It wasn't me 1 minute, then it was me the next." Though, no one knew exactly what he meant. The emperor was utterly disappointed by the son and ordered the Marquis of An to be confined strictly to ensure that he won't get out and scared other people. Since Concubine Chu was sent to the cold palace, there was really no one who would foolishly mention the Marquis of An in front of the emperor now. Every estate had loyal servants. The Marquis of An was no exception. Some of the Marquis of An's servants looked for head steward Luo and bribed him with huge amount of money, asking head steward Luo to appeal to the emperor for mercy. Luo Ruisheng smiled in agreement, but he didn't actually do anything after accepting the bribe. Who let the Marquis of An offend him previously? Sinners should get what they deserve. Jing Estate. Jing Wang just brought the fish back when the servants came to report the good news. The new fish tank that was being built inside the Jing estate all these days was finally been completed after the artisans rushed it overtime and worked non-stop. Li Yu was originally somewhat tired. After learning this news, he immediately became energetic again and acted cute towards Jing Wang unceasingly, blowing bubbles. What kind of fish tank did Jing Wang make for him? He already heard about it several times. He was about to die from curiosity. Nowadays, as soon as the carp waved its tail, Jing Wang would immediately know what it wanted. Following the fish's will, he was in no rush to take the fish out of the crystal bottle. Instead, he brought the fish to see the new fish tank. All of the fences that encircled the Jing estate where construction occurred have been removed, revealing the structure's true appearance. Li Yu let out a sound of surprise, completely dumbstruck. It wasn't possible to know without looking, but all of the pools and lotus ponds inside the various courtyards inside the Jing estate were dug through. The open areas that didn't have any ponds before were all dug up as well to make ponds. After connecting everything, a huge fish tank was formed. The size of this new fish tank pretty much covered the entire estate. No. This can no longer be called a fish tank, a fish pond was more appropriate. The fish pond was filled with clear water. The water flowed with a murmur. There was even a small water wheel built to the side. About every 10 steps, there were guards present, preventing others from coming close. Li Yu looked at the new fish tank that didn't seem to have an end in sight, faintly stunned. He felt his eyes heat up with tears. So big, was all of this for him? He did double in size, it's true. Yet Jing Wang actually built him such a huge new fish tank. Fish feels so touched. Jingwang bent down and tilted the crystal bottle slightly, wanting the little carp to try swimming in the new fish tank. Yet the little carp refused to swim out of the crystal bottle no matter what. Jingwang had no other choice but to take the fish out from the bottle himself. The little carp looked at him with its black round eyes, fish head rubbing adorably against his hand. Jingwang smiled and placed the fish into the water. This was his gift for Xiaoyu. He hoped Xiaoyu would like it. After dealing with the Marquis of An, Jingwang felt no ripples in his heart. Now however, his thick killing intent had completely changed into a slight embarrassment. The little carp reluctantly spun around in circles beneath Jingwang's feet before finally starting to swim. Then it swam faster and faster. The pond water left rows of sparkling waves behind the fish's body. This was the first time Liu swam freely inside a pond after transmigrating into this novel. And he swam such a long distance. At first he was somewhat overcautious. When he caught sight of the view under the water, it immediately grabbed the fish's attention. This wasn't actually a normal fish pond. The extremely fastidious and meticulous Jingwang ordered people to create an underwater world to be gifted only to this fish. The stone walls under the water were embedded with iridescent pearls here and there, illuminating the originally dim pond water like daytime. The continuously undulating pond floor was covered with stones that were polished smooth and round with all sorts of colors. In the middle, there was a pavilion with a garden that was filled with miniaturized mountains and trees made with jade stones, all carved with real landscape as a template. The little carp looked at it in amazement, swimming over slowly in appreciation. Gradually, he recognized that this was the view of the Jing estate. The craftsmen were very skillful. The images they carved were extremely lifelike and detailed. Even roads, vendors, pedestrians, horse carriages, and even dogs and cats were all sculpted and carved out. Because he was always placed inside the crystal bottle and carried around by Jingwang everywhere, he often noticed the rowdy scenery outside of the estate. With each hurried glance, he was filled with envy. Yet now, all those views were immortalized into his new fish tank, belonging only to him. Liu continued his lofty journey onward, using his fish fins to touch this and poke that, loving everything too much to leave it easily. Although he couldn't leave the estate, his outgoing, sociable heart has already received the greatest satisfaction. Last he swam to a house standing alone at the bottom of the pond. Liu felt this house looked very familiar. Thinking for a moment, he recognized that this was Jingwang's residence. Who would have thought that the Tyrant Master would also carve his own residence in here? Liu swam a circle around this house. He discovered that the door of the house could actually be opened from the outside. The little carp used his mouth to clumsily nudge open the door. Inside the courtyard, there was a jade-sculpted person standing there, hair bound with a crown, wearing royal embroidered robes, carrying a sword on his waist. Although there were no detailed features, Liu immediately recognized that this was a jade sculpture of Jingwang. Of all the people he knew, only Jingwang would dress like this. You look so pitiful, being all alone here. Liu tackled the jade figure with a laugh and swam around it, clinging and harassing it without holding back. After playing for a bit, he had enough. Then he picked up the jade figure with his mouth and placed it upright again earnestly. Liu remembered that on a stone wall that was under the water, he once saw a fish-shaped stone that was used for decoration. There were plenty of those kinds of stones. Liu managed to find one without much effort. Holding one by the corner with his mouth, he forcibly pulled it off the wall. Everything went smoothly. The fish dragged the fish-shaped stone back to the jade figure. He placed the fish-shaped stone next to the jade figure and then closed the door of the residence again. Done. Now the Tyrant Master won't be all by his lonesome anymore. Liu excitedly spun around twice and returned to find his real master. End chapter.